Hello, mathematicians. Today we're going to be learning about slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is represented by the equation y equals mx plus b, where m represents our slope, which is our rise over run, and we also know our slope as our rate of change. And b, our variable b, represents our y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis. So our y-intercept is, as you see, where the line crosses the y-axis, and it's always represented by a coordinate that starts with 0, because at the y-axis, x is equal to 0, and b is the value that the line crosses the y-axis. So we also know our y-intercept as our initial value. So here we have an example. So a fish tank has 240 gallons of water. Nicholas empties the tank to clean it at a rate of 40 gallons per hour. So the 240 gallons that the tank already has is our initial value, which we also know as our y-intercept. And the rate that it empties at for 40 gallons per hour is our slope, which we know as our rate of change as well. Okay, so in order to write this in slope-intercept form, we're going to start off with y equals. So y represents the total gallons inside the fish tank. So our tank is decreasing at 40 gallons per hour because he's emptying out the fish tank. So we're not going to write 40x, we're going to write negative 40x because it's decreasing, plus the original 240 gallons that we had. So this is our initial value. So the negative 40 here represents that the tank decreases 40 gallons every hour. Okay, so we don't have to write negative 40 over 1 unless we wanted to, but negative 40 over 1 is the same thing as negative 40. And so we could use a table to represent this, where x represents the hours and y represents the total gallons at different points in time. And so originally the fish tank started off with 240 gallons of water. And then after 1 hour, the tank decreased by 40 gallons, so we have 200 gallons of water. After 2 hours, the tank decreased another 40 gallons, so we end up at 160. Another hour went by, and then it decreases another 40 gallons, so 120, and so on. So we notice here that the gallons are decreasing by 40 every hour. So the reason why we have +1 is that with every additional hour that passes, the fish tank is decreasing 40 gallons. So we could start off by plotting it at 0, 240, because that's where our fish tank is starting off at. And then after 1 hour, it's at 200. At 2 hours, it's 160, and so on. So we could draw our line through this, and we'll notice that our line is decreasing because the water in the fish tank is decreasing as well. And so here, if we want to find our slope at any two given points, we'll see that here from 160 to 120, our tank decreased 40 gallons in an hour, okay? So we could also tell because from this coordinate to this coordinate, we're going down. So if we're going down, that means we're decreasing. So again, if I pick two other points, notice we're going down. So that's going to be negative. So here it's, so from here to here it's 20, 40, 60, 80. We're going down 80 gallons in 2 hours. So that's the same thing as negative 40 over 1 because negative 80, so decreasing 80 gallons in 2 hours is the same thing as decreasing 40 gallons in 1 hour. So that's our slope. And our y-intercept is up here because our tank started off at 240 gallons. And that's it. So here we have another example. Jessica has 6 pieces of chocolate in total, and she eats 2 every 3 days. So if she has 6 pieces of chocolate, that's how many she started off with. So that's our y-intercept. And then if she eats 2 every 3 days, that's the rate that she eats it at. So this is our slope. And so we could represent this in slope-intercept form. So we have y equals, so y is the total number of chocolates. And since she's eating them, they're decreasing. So negative 2 over 3 x plus 6 because she's eating 2. So eating 2 chocolates. So that's negative every 3 days. Okay? And so we could represent this using a table where x would be the number of days and y would be the number of chocolates. And so at 0 days, she has 6 pieces of chocolate. So here we could count up by 1 day at a time, but we'll get a fraction for the chocolates. Instead, we could count every 3 days because every 3 days she's eating 2 chocolates. So 3 days, she eats 2, so she now has 4. Then after another 3 days, she eats 2, so now she has 2. And then another 3 days, she eats another 2, so now she ends up with 0. So here on our graph, we could start at 0, 6 because she started off with 6 pieces of chocolate. And then after 3 days have passed, she ate 2, so she eats 2, and then another 3 days pass. She ate 2 after another 3 days, and then she ate 2, and then another 3 days passed, okay? So we could draw our line through this. Okay, and so at any point in time, we could draw our triangle. And so we'll notice that from this coordinate to the other coordinate, we're going down 2. And then that's in 3 days. So she's eating 2 in 3 days. So from here, this coordinate to this coordinate, just be mindful that you're going down. I could draw my triangle like this, but just keep in mind that here, this part here represents our chocolates, and it's still going down from 4 to 2, even though our triangle looks different. So I usually like to either do my rise first and then my run. So determine whether you have to go up or down first and then go over to the right. So that's our slope, -2/3. And our y-intercept is here at 6 because she started off with 6 chocolates. Okay, and that's it. So just one thing that I want to point out about these two, and I'll return back to the other example, is you'll notice that our graph also crosses the y-axis. I'm sorry, the x-axis. And what this point means here is that after 9 days, she has 0 chocolates. So this is actually our x-intercept, because it intersects the x-axis. So we have our y-intercept that intersects the y-axis, and our x-intercept that intersects our x-axis, and both of them mean 2 different things. So here our y-intercept represents that she started off with 6 chocolates. So at 0 days, she had 6 chocolates. And our x-intercept here means that at 9 days, she has 0 chocolates. And if we go back to our previous example, we'll notice that our x-intercept here is, so this is our x-intercept. And it's at 6, 0, because after 6 hours, this tank will have 0 gallons of water. So our y-intercept represented that it initially started off with 240 gallons before any time passed. And here, after 6 hours, our tank now has 0 gallons of water. Okay, so just look out for both y and x intercepts, and that's it.